Hello everybody and welcome to Suzuka for the third round of the Radical Sim Racing European Championship here on iRacing. Taking a look at the Pro and Am standings, you can see that Christoph Lipp, is the top of the tree for the moment, 11 points ahead of Christopher Treven, with Harvard Gullikson, the race one winner, back in third. Sebastian Lipp has a bit of a gap back to him with Andreas Friedrich next. Then it is Oscar Soltero, Anthony Lendoff, James Barry, George Gonzaga and Dennis Kirikopoulos to round out the top 10 in the pros. In the teams, we've got the Inner Race E-Racing Team 2 leading by 80 points right now, quite a large margin, but that second place, which is all up for grabs in the pro standings, Nix Esports Inner Racing E-Racing Team and the two IGO Coatings teams are all very, very close. Those four covered by just 31 points after 2 rounds. Let's have a look at the starting grid, ready for another hour-long race in the Radical Sim Racing European Championship. It's Christopher Treven who takes pole ahead of 3 Inert Race E-Racing team drivers, Christoph Lipp, Sebastian Lipp and Andreas Friedrich. Franit Sikorsky and Lasse Sorensen will share row 3. Rudolf Nagel is just outside of half a second off pole with Cadell Larsen alongside. Mats Kjelstenbakken and James Barry round out the top 10 with Dennis Kirikopoulos and Oscar Soltero on row 6. Then it's Anthony Lendoff with Luke Crowley, the Ampol sitter, in 14th. He's ahead of an all-pro row 8 of Howard Gullikson and Sully Ratinen. Eric Benson and Mika Henrik Hulkonen are on row 9. Just over a second off pole for George Gonzaga and Kim-Andre Björklund rounding out the top 20, with Alexander Totem-Skarret and Ivan Bremer in 22nd. Louis Gregg and David Niemek are in row 12. David Roston and Robert Walker are next. Ole Gunnar Strensted and Menno de Graaf. Gabriel Berger and Henry Hollings are rounding out the top 30, ahead of Glenn Andre Christensen, Nazino Pellegrino, Stefan Mellis and Guy Robertson, rounding out the 34-car field. Franit Sikorsky, recently promoted to the pros, should be starting from row 3, but at the moment he isn't there. We're going to go green without him, with a missing row 3 for some reason, and we are underway here at Suzuka. 3 wide back in the pack already, on the way down in towards turn number 1, and Treven gets off to a very nice start here in towards turn 1 and 2. It's going to get single-filed out. In the battle for second, Christoph Lipp is going to get that place ahead of Andreas Friedrich, then Sebastian Lipp, who's going to be into 4th place as they come into the S's for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the massive slipstream effect in these SR10s, these cars will train up on any circuit. And there's an off.
How on earth is... I'm not sure who that is, but someone's found themselves right on the access road there. I've never seen that road used before, but through Spoon Curve, my goodness, it looks like David Rolliston maybe. In the inside it was.
Yeah, really impressive start. It's pretty unusual, frankly, not to see any mistakes in that Kobayashi hairpin or any door banging here coming through this first section. But these drivers looking good, and you and these guys hang out together throughout the week. They practice together, they encourage each other, make each other faster, and you see a lot of trust here, a little side by side in the S's there, and that's the kind of trust and driving respect that gets built when you have a tight community like these Radical drivers.
And there's going to be gaps in the pack as well, a bit further down. Now this is in the Am field, battle for 20th between Robert Walker and Eric Benson. He's actually lost quite a few places. He was right near Luke Crowley in the qualifying session, but Benson here is on the inside line, only just clinging on to 20th place. 5 minutes gone, we have seen a couple of moves made. Christoph Lipp's just biding his time though, and considering there's 2 pit stops to come still in this race, and everything else in between, I think that's probably a smart thing here, considering we're only a few minutes in. James Barry, though, is one of those trying to make moves here. Just gets past Joe Larson now, up to 6th place. That's 3 places gained, 4 rather now for James Barry, but he has created a bit of a gap in front of him now.
Yeah, Barry looking pretty good here, and he's a repeat champion in the Radical Esports Cup. He's probably 3 or 4 time champion on the public server, so Barry knows what he's doing. For later, tire wear definitely an issue on this track. If you overdrive early, the tires are going to bite you come the end of this one.
They certainly are. As the top guys make their way towards the Spoon Curve. This is for 16th place. Kim-Andre Björklund and Eva Braber were side by side out of the final corner. We saw it a few moments ago. Now they're the ones trying to make the moves here and get up into 16th place. Side by side into 130R. It's not a place you normally see side by side, and Björklund is indeed just going to get through there. A little bit of cooperation as well always helps from the driver that you're passing. Now Bremer trying to do the same and move up to 17th place. Oh, around the outside for the first bit, inside at the second. Bit of a squeeze. Bremer nowhere near Björklund anymore, just as a result of one move. Here's the battle though towards the back end of the top 10 where it is happening. So Tero down the inside of Gilbertstrom back in, and that is into 8th place for him.
Yeah, really nice move there into turn one. There is a ton of space there and a variety of lines that you can take through there. And look at Sebastian Lip. I'm not sure if we caught what happened with him. I don't know if this was an error or him just getting picked off one by one, but he's fallen all the way to P5. And now Barry is got him in his sights, got about a second gap up to Sebastian Lip. So things not going well for Sebastian, while his brother Christoph still hanging tough, about a 2-second gap to Tavarin up front.
Sebastian Lip, meanwhile, has just overtaken Rudolf Nagel, who made a mistake as well for 4th position. As a result, here's a look at the replay. Oh, it's at the top at Dunlop. A first big smash down at the S's, and it got clipped as well there.
In that exact way, last season, a little over rotation right into the barrier, and bang! Oh my goodness, medic.
Look towards pit lane, and the queue now begins. Here they come, all in one, and was there contact up ahead, or are they just locking up? I think it was just locking up and them going in right nose to tail. But have a look at this. Every single driver in this race coming into the pit lane right now. Now then, who's going to come out first, and what kind of advantage are they going to have here as the time ticks over 10 seconds? Here goes Travain, one of the shorter stops. He's tired of towing everybody about, and he wants a lead here of more than a second. That's what he's got in towards turn one.
On these pit stops, he could have taken 20 liters and he'll take 40 on the next one. And it's smart of him to break that draft. Look what that got him you in 2.3 seconds.
Has Travain really got the advantage over some? Definitely. But has he got an advantage over everybody? It's hard to know. We'll know the rest of the calendar as well as the officials get announced. So make sure you stay with us for those. 3 wide, meanwhile, for 14th place. Luke Crowley's the AM leader, but he's not battling with anyone from the AM class right now. He's battling with Sully Rattanen, who goes straight off the road there, down in towards turn number 1. He got 14th so briefly, but then lost it straight away as Hammer Gullikson and Luke Crowley go straight through. I mean, we should probably have a word on Gullikson here, because he was the race winner at Long Beach, showing himself to have really great speed all season long. He's now going to get down the inside of Crowley, who's effectively made a mistake through the hairpin, but to even see him battling for 14th place here, Havok Gullikson, it's a bizarre sight. What's happened to Menno de Graaf in towards turn 1? A little bit too quick. Oh, had to lock it up as well through turn 2 as he tried to avoid the spin on board with Sikorski. What a great drive from him, by the way. 17th place, and his early pit stop is really starting to bear some fruit now. He decided that very early on it was time to come in, about 4 laps I think before everybody else came in. He was in a lot of traffic because of the pit lane start that he had. This is Alexander Trovim-Scarrett into the second Degner by the looks of things. It looks like he's gone too wide through the first Degner and straight on into the wall of the second. He rejoins.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it, and Degner is one of those risk-reward places. Oof. You want to cut the first one, go across the curb, and that can upset the card and send you bouncing out of bounds there.
What do we read into this? Christopher Travain and Andreas Friedrich probably over the last 3 laps maybe gained just under 4 temps. I mean, I can't quite decide between myself who should be gaining time on the other at the moment, but obviously any time gained is good news for Christopher Travain in his lead right now.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind too, you see the matching liveries, but with Friedrich and Lip, those two are teammates, and there's nothing like having your teammates on comms with you in a long race like this, and I guarantee you that they are discussing what their overall strategy is and how they should deal with Tavarin, and right now it kind of looks like they're letting him run away.
Sikorski's been in for nearly a minute, what I can see. That doesn't look quite right. So yeah, something looks wrong for Suzuka, and something looks wrong for this car as well, by the way. And they were running quite close together. So putting 2 and 2 together, there may have been an incident between Andrei Lendorf and Frank Sikorski. We'll try and get to the bottom of that. Haven't got word of that just yet, as we are to solo incident, so it's separate. Sikorski was having a great drive through the field. Unfortunately, he puts his nose into the barrier.
Bang off the barrier, and here is another problem. And who is this, Ewan?
Lendorf again. He's been driving like this for ages, though. It looks like the parameters of that car are not quite right suspension-wise to me.
Yeah, we got some cars training up and some big gaps forming among the top 10. Usually the top 10 will train up pretty good in these races, but spreading out in kind of surprising manner. Oh my goodness, and here's some action heading down towards the triangle.
Hulkonen and Berger side by side, and he is going to stay ahead there. Hulkonen ahead of Gabriel Berger out of the final couple of corners. They weren't actually hitting each other, by the way. They weren't bump drafting, but you know what I mean. The reverse draft, if you like. Get as close as you possibly can without hitting them in front, and you can just push them along a tad. Free wide, meanwhile, in towards turn one. Louis Gregg clutching that inside line very, very tightly, and it works for him in the end. Hulkonen can't get through. Berger might well get through on him as a result. Side by side into the S's then. Round the outside through the first bit, gets in the inside at the next, but it doesn't mean the outside for the next part, and it goes on and on and on. Someone's into the pit lane there, just up in front of these guys. So that's Sully Reitinen. Benson, meanwhile, will go down the inside and get through on Braber. Final half an hour then, Joe. I guess the pit window's open for the final time. We'll see. Oh, where's out the pit lane? Is it Sully Reitinen? Right into the side of somebody, and very nearly ending up in the barrier. So in terms, to your point, in terms of who's going to be in first of the leaders, absolutely first should be Mads Kirstenbakken in that second group. Then it should be the others after that. So I guess he's going to kick things off in number 90, and he is in now. So that's quite good timing. He is in and will be taking one of the longer fills here. So next in line will be Terrain, as you were saying. Kjell Larsen should be quite close next in line as well. They probably won't be able to go that many more laps. Maybe even they're coming in at the end of this lap. Now then, this is a bit of a disaster for Mads Kjellström. I bet he was hoping that he could just get out in 16th ahead of these guys, but the worst thing possible has happened. He's right in behind them here, and this is going to slow him down a lot. Down pit lane they come, and where will they come out as the two exchange for third pit? James Barry has been making so many overtakes today. He's now into third place, ahead of Sebastian Lipp. Where is Terrain going to come out? Because he was a few seconds in front of Kjellström, he won't quite be in the same problems as him, but we'll see. There come the battles actually. In fact, they're a long way behind. There they go through. That's Benson who just slips through. That's not a disaster. He has got one driver right in front, and it is an Am, but that's okay. Larsen has just got it right. There he is, just in front of Hulkonen. That's exactly what Kjellström was trying to do.
You mentioned James Barry, and my goodness, he's moved up from P10 to P3. And, Alain Prost has some history here at Suzuka, of course, and Barry has always reminded me of the driver they called the Little Professor. He is cool, calm, collected, and consistent. Nothing flashy, no crazy high-risk overtakes, but he manages to drive consistently and get it done. And looking good so far for Barry. Of course, that may change after this pit sequence, but Barry putting on a great drive today.
But this is going to be a big pit stop in the context of this race. Andreas Friedrich and Christian Terrain, are battling away for effective race lead here on the pit exit. Terrain has got past Benson. That may have cost him a little bit of time. And has it cost him the lead? As Friedrich now pulls to a stop and we count the seconds. And it's 15.9. We're counting it against. Terrain's pit stop was 15.9. You imagine this would be a 14, but no, it's short. It's only a little bit shorter by half a second. Terrain's going to fly through here, and Friedrich's nowhere near him. So then, who's coming in this time round? Should be Sebastian Lipp. George Gonzaga didn't come in, so he did get a bit enough fuel on board to go one more. Dennis Kirkapos might be in this time, but there's a question mark against that. Kim-Andre Björklund should be in this time round as well from the top 10s.
Yeah, so interesting here, and we'll see if they swap positions here. And again, it's great to have your teammate on comms to kind of work through some of these fuel save issues and some of these strategic issues. Easy to think of these races as a solo endeavor, but it's really better with a friend for sure. Yep, and Lipp going through again is going under the starter stand for lap 22 now, as Sebastian Lipp and Barry are going to stop for fuel. And keep an eye on that interval. Tavern about 30 seconds off the lead right now, and that's kind of the pit window that Tavern's banking on. So we'll see how these guys do coming out of the pits this time.
As he goes over the start finish line, Lipp and Barry are side by side, and they're going to be right in with Friedrich. It could be a good battle for the other podium places here today, but so far Terrain's not being touched by anybody. Christoph Lipp is now the last person really who could get near him. Christoph Lipp is into the pit lane. This is the race. 17 minutes to go, and Christoph Lipp has got to at least be within the slipstream range of Christopher Terrain. Otherwise, he's going to find it very difficult to get on terms for the remainder of this race. If he can get out in front, that's an even bigger bonus. But don't forget, his final pit stop will be shorter than Terrain's by at least a couple of seconds here. Terrain did 15.9 in the box. Lipp's not been in the slipstream too much, but he has got a relatively short stop here, and he might well be in front now, out of the pit lane in towards turn 1, and after leading for most of the day, Christopher Terrain has got work to do for the first time this afternoon, as Christoph Lipp gets out in front of him here, in towards turn 1 and 2. He's going to have to get up to speed very quickly, because he's in the lead by a second, and he'd like to keep that slipstream apart, 1.2 seconds, as he rejoins the circuit.
Yeah, Lipp might get lucky here. He may get the toe right here where he needs it and not get slowed down. But that's a critical thing. You see one of these drivers getting out of the way for him after pulling him towards 130R.
It's working out incredibly well for Christoph Lipp. And Terrain is going to have lap traffic in the S's, although Lipp is as well. So the two of them are going to be pretty even now through the S's, you would say.
Interesting. I'll take a look here. Go ahead.
Oh, there's Soltero. Off at the hairpin just a couple of moments ago. Oscar Soltero went wide through the hairpin, and it looks a bit strange to me. It looked like he got it slowed up in time. It didn't have the grip for some reason.
And here is a nice move heading into 130R, and everything going Lipp's way right now. This is nuts.
He's through on Luke Crowley, and surely that seals the race lead for now. Does it seal the race win? Side by side, meanwhile, between Kirikopoulos and Gabriel Berger. Kirikopoulos goes through. I don't think Berger's made his last stop yet. So we'll... Oh, that's a slide. Oh, and he's got away with it. My goodness me, that was close. Somehow, he's got to haul that gap to lower than a second and try to get past Lipp that way. But this is going to be really hard. That's going to make it easier. Christoph Lipp with a very rare unforced error.
That approach right there is always really, really tough. Riding on board with him just overcooks it a little bit. Lucky to keep it out of the grass right there. He overcooked it actually more than a little bit.
As we go back to the AMs, Luke Crowley was leading pretty comfortably in the previous stint, but Benson's had his pit stop now and he's caught back up again. And it's 2 for the lead in the AM class. Andreas Friedrich versus James Barry for the final spot on the podium will be one to watch. There they are. Further behind them, Soltero's just got out ahead of Nagel and Larson, by the way. Battle for 6th place will be pretty tight as well. Meanwhile, this is the battle for the lead in the AM class. Crowley holding on to the inside, trying to keep this lead, but Benson's alongside him here, even into the S's. Oh, and he just about cuts his nose off there. That was close, and he's going to be under real pressure now to keep this AM win. He wants to go free for free at the start of this season, but he's going to have to fight harder than he fought at any point this season to go and get this win. Is right in the slipstream. But again, no move made. Oh, is he leaving it late? Not quite. These two have been side by side ever since that moment, pretty much. And Eric Benson's through, but he's off in towards Degner 1. Oh, he's just about getting on the road again in time to get the lead in the AMs. That, I'm not even exaggerating, that battle has got on for the entirety of the first sector. And he's held on to the lead ever since then, but Crowley's not going to give it up easily. He's going on the inside line here through the photo chicane. Oh. There's contact between the AM leaders, and they're both going to come to a dead stop nearly here. Sully Rantanen's going to come through, and Crowley's going to be a few seconds behind now. That might well have settled this race in the AM class. There was a big bit of contact made. You could see it coming, but he just couldn't get it stopped in time here, Luke Crowley. He was on the inside line. It's such a tight line. I think he snagged a break as well. And in the end, he just drove straight into the side of Eric Benson. Going to see personal bests through the field, unfortunately, as Matt Kjelstenbakken has not quite accounted for this, has he? Or has he gone off? He's dropping down the field anyway. Battle for third, meanwhile, between the teammates is going to wait to the final lap, but it is going to arrive. Frederick versus Barry for the battle here for the podium. Here comes Barry round the outside, and he can't quite do it through 1 and 2.
Barry there transforming from the little Professor Prost into Senna and banging doors with his teammate, and we'll see if he wants to take another crack at him.
Now then, oh, Frederick Barry again, Very nearly contact through Spoon. Don't take each other off. The teammates will be very unhappy about that if that happens. It's going to all happen down here at the final chicane on the final lap by the looks of things. And James Barry's got a decent run here. It's going to have to be side by side into 130R as well. There's no other way around of doing this right now. Friedrich doesn't want it, but Barry's going to force it on the outside line here. Here we go. Through 130R for the final time. He just clipped the grass, I think, there, just before the turn-in, and he's not going to be able to get through. Meanwhile, out front, Christoph Lipp is going to win this race by 1.5 seconds in the end. A fantastic drive from him as he strategized his way to the lead, and he held on with supreme pace over Christopher Terrain. Friedrich holds on to the podium, so Chero passes Nagel at the end. We might have to, and Nagel might get passed again by Larson as well. Not quite, but in the AM class, it's going to be Eric Benson. He's a few seconds further behind, and he's now put a couple of seconds into Crowley, who looks like he might have even had damage as a result of the contact they made down into this corner on a few laps ago. But what a great win for Eric Benson. It's going to be his first victory in the class this season. No.
Oh, and here's Gonzaga out of fuel again, going from bad to worse for George. But yeah, Barry and Friedrich heard us talking about how the top 10 driving was boring and treated us to an excellent last lap. Barry almost making something happen right at the very end. Good stuff.
I've never seen that before. That is quite astonishing. Well, there are the teammates. 1, 3, 4. That's a pretty good day. And 5. There's Sebastian Lipp as well. There's not quite room for 4 of them side by side, unfortunately, around this circuit, so we'll have to do with a back seat. But what a fantastic day for the re-racing team. Let's have a look at the race results after a great hour of racing here at Suzuka, and it's Christoph Lipp who wins by 1.4 seconds over Christopher Terrain, with Andreas Friedrich just holding on from James Barry as well for third. Sebastian Lipp ends in the top 5 again, ahead of Oscar Soltero, who finished ahead of Rudolf Nagel and Castel Larsen, who were very close over the line. Jens Kirkopoulos and Kim-Andre Bjortland round out the top 10. Harvey Gullikson recovered to 11th, ahead of Sully Redden, who got past Eric Benson after his battle with Luke Crowley. Mika Henrik Hulkonen rounded out the podium places. Ivan Bremer down 16th here today, ahead of Gabriel Berger, Ole Gunnar Stransrud, Louis Gregg and Robert Walker rounding out the top 20. David Niemiec just finished ahead of Menno de Graaf at the end. Henry Hawlings and Nuzio Pellegrino got past George Gonzaga, who ran out of fuel to the line. Stefan Mellis was the last driver on the lead lap. Guy Robertson, Frank Sikorsky and Mads Kjelstenbecken were 1 lap down. Lasse Sorensen 14 down after retiring from the race, as did Anthony Lendorf, Alexander Totemskaret, David Royston and Glenn Andre Christensen, the last 2 of which had a big crash up at the top of the hill through Dunlop.
Join us next week at Oulton Park. That is a track what these cars were made for. It is narrow, it is hilly, and it is dangerous. It's a place that would never be built today, and we're running without those annoying chicanes. So be sure and join us for that. It is going to be awesome.